Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. Charlie, John wasn't kidding when he said you're going to have a little your headphones are going to sound little inside baseball here. I'm sitting here in the studio, and Jonathan Dent, before we got rolling here, said, "Hey, just a heads up. We're having problems with one of the processors." He said the signal going out to be, recorded for the radio stations is really good, but the sound you're going to hear from your headphones is not so good. I wasn't prepared for it to be that not so good. Anyway, my friends, welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show. I am so glad to have you along with us as we continue our weekly 3-hour adventure into an exploration of and a discussion of the great outdoors here in the great state of Michigan. Hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping and wildlife issues and conservation issues, wild game cooking. We cover it all, as I have been for so many years. All right, so what has happened in the last week since we talked? Well, here in this great state of Michigan, if you are a hunter, you were probably anxiously monitoring the DNR's website or monitoring your app on your phone to see if you got a Michigan elk or a Michigan bear tag. I will just about guarantee you didn't get a Michigan elk tag. But maybe you got a bear tag. I didn't get an elk tag. Didn't expect to. But I did get a bear tag. I drew the 3rd season in the Newberry District. That season starts September 25th. I will be hunting with Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, once again. And I'm pretty excited about it. I have yet to take a Michigan bear. Of all, I was trying to add them up in my head the other day and look at the different mounts and stuff and the rugs and stuff. I think I've taken 16 or 17 bears, something like that. And I've never taken a Michigan bear. I've had opportunities to take a Michigan bear, but I passed it up. Not because the animal wasn't big enough, but I just wasn't ready to end my hunt. A few years ago, when I got a tag for the first season in Newberry, I was hunting with Gary Morgan of Wild Game Dynasty. And it took 9 years at the time to get that tag. It takes more now. So after waiting for 9 years, I wanted to get the most out of that hunt. So I'm sitting in a ground blind over bait, as most people hunt bears, at least here in Michigan and in Ontario, with a crossbow. And about 45 minutes into the sit of my opening night, a bear comes into the bait. And he was a respectable bear. And I chose not to shoot him. And the reason being was I love to bear hunt. I love to be in the bear woods. I love to have interaction with bears. I love to see bears. And I had waited 9 years for that hunt. And I was not about to let it end after 45 minutes. So I let that bear walk. Now, you already know the rest of the story. I never did take a bear. And I hunted hard after that. I even went home for a few days, came back for round 2, and never got another chance. But I was okay with that. Fortunately, Gary was okay with that as well. So I've never taken a Michigan bear. This year with Johnny, I think I'm going to be hunting with my Brenton 350 Legend. Michigan-made Brenton 350 Legend with that new suppressor, which is a Michigan-made suppressor. And it only seems appropriate and cool that I would take my first Michigan bear with a Michigan gun. So that's what my plan is. Now, since I got my Michigan tag, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go to Ontario this year. If I wouldn't have gotten the tag, I certainly would have gone to Ontario to bear hunt mid-August with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. But because there are several other things going on in mid-August, and I have a bear hunt coming up a few weeks after that, I think I'm going to take a year off from Ontario. But Ron saved me a spot because I'll be coming back, believe me. Can you believe next weekend is the 4th of July weekend? Can you believe the 4th of July is coming up next week? This week coming up? How does that happen? How do things fly by so fast? And here's something to make you feel even better. An uplifting comment from the big guy, Mike Avery. The days are getting shorter now. You're welcome. Fishing. My fishing adventures have been non-existent the last week. Every time I wanted to fish, the wind has blown like crazy. In fact, I've had to postpone a couple of trips. So as a result, as I'm sitting here in the studio now, I have charity charters scheduled for tomorrow, the next day, and the following day. And I'm praying Mother Nature doesn't throw a monkey wrench into those. You know, it gets to the point where I have these trips kind of regularly scheduled out so they're not, so I can get my work done and other things done and still get the trips in and have fun and show people a good time on Saginaw Bay, the resource that is Saginaw Bay Walleye on the Angler Quest. But if you get 1 or 2 or 3 of those that get postponed because of weather, then you start looking at, what I've got coming up 3 days in a row, which for somebody who is a full-blown working charter captain who does this day after day after day is no big deal. That's part of what they do. For me, as a guy who doesn't do it for a living, it's not a grind. I shouldn't say that, but it'll be a lot of time on the water. The good thing about that is, right, if you spend 3 days in a row fishing, you got a better handle on what's going on, where to go, and what to use than if you hadn't been out in the water in a week. So when the wind has been blowing and I couldn't fish, I've been golfing. I am really looking forward to it. It's only a month away now. The first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing at the West Branch Country Club in West Branch, Monday, July 29th. This is a fundraiser for MUCC's youth camp. Had a meeting up there last week with Steve Windom of MUCC, Emil Rousseau and Gigi from Forward Corporation, Tom, who owns the golf course, talking about details, talking about specifics, how this thing is going to come together. And I'm real excited. You never know on a first-year event how things are going to work out. But at this point, we have a full first flight, meaning we have a foursome on every hole of the 18 holes, but we have room for more, and we're still taking people in right now to play in the event. And we also have room for more sponsors for the event. In fact, in the last week, Michigan Brand has come on board to help sponsor the event. Pizza Sam's in Midland has come on board to help sponsor the event. And my friends at Trinity Monitor Lutheran Church, my church, my friends there in the Athletic Boosters and the Wild Game Dinner Committee, they stepped up and said, Mike, we'll help you with this, which I thought was really a very, very nice thing to do. So thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to help out or play, go to the website mucc.org/golf. That's mucc.org/golf. It is $100 a head. I had somebody online say, ooh, that's too rich for me. Well, hold on. It's 18 holes of golf. It's a cart. It's lunch. And it's a steak dinner after we play golf. I think that's a pretty good deal. Plus, it's a fundraiser for MUCC's youth camp. Love to see you get involved. Love that very, very much. Rapid River. I had a situation with the folks from Rapid River. Chris Durson of Rapid River. Last week on the show and Wednesday Night Live, we announced that you can now use the promo code Avery10 to get 10% off on your knife at Jay's Sporting Goods, the website, and the stores. Of course, you won't see the selection at Jay's. You'll see it at Rapid River. A guy who was watching Wednesday Night Live made a big order online. And he couldn't figure out how to use the promo code Avery10, so he put it in the wrong spot, so he didn't get the discount. He contacted me. I reached out to Chris Durson, said, here's the situation. Chris said, hey, we'll make it right. And they gave him a $50 gift card. He said, we can't refund the money, but they gave him a $50 gift card to make up for the inconvenience and to cover what would have been his Avery 10 discount. How cool is that? I love working with companies like that. And speaking of promo codes, Avery 10 plus Mike20, MichiganBrand.net, get 20% off on your Michigan brand order. Also, there's a store locator button there. Go to MichiganBrand.net, click on the store locator button. You can find Michigan Brand outlet in your backyard. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, Michigan Elk Guide, Brian Krause. What should you expect from a Michigan elk hunt? Is it a slam dunk? Is it like you pull up on the side of the road till you see a herd of elk and shoot? Or do you actually have to work for it? Then, a conversation with a friend of mine who I am convinced is the luckiest Michigan elk hunter ever. The hour wraps up with Brent Pike of Michigan Wildlife Council. In our second hour, Captain Ed Retherford. He's been fishing Lake Huron for 55 years. I think he's the longest-running charter captain on the Great Lakes. Then Steve Windom of MUCC checks in with an update on the golf outing. Plus, the Mentor Youth Hunt is coming up for a vote. And in our third hour, we're headed to Southeast Detroit to fish with Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures. And, of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and my email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you, and I hope you can stick around for this week's show. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK. That's 95.3 FM. You can hear us in the Thumb in Sandusky on WMIC 660 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in the Sioux on WKNW 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination. Just a great place. I mean, I say this every week, but every time I visit Linwood Beach, every time I stop out there, I am reminded of what a nice, unique, cool place it is. It's right there on the shore of Saginaw Bay. Beautiful boat launch, beautiful facilities, first-class marina, outstanding campground, ship store, full marine service shop, gas, fuel, and great people. Plus, if you go out of the channel at Linwood Beach, straight out to about, I don't know, pick the day, 14 feet of water, 15, 17 feet of water, you're going to be into the fish. LinwoodBeachMarina.com is the website, LinwoodBeachMarina.com. Linwood Beach will be the site of the Angler Quest Owners Tourney coming up July 27th. If you are an AQ owner and you want to be a part of that, you can sign up online at the Angler Quest Owners group on Facebook. Okay, I was talking in the first hour about Michigan bear and elk tags. You didn't get your Michigan elk tag, did you? But somebody did. I mean, they let out, 200 of them or whatever the number is. So somebody got a tag. And those somebodies right now are scrambling to find, most of them, to find a Michigan elk guide. Now, you can do a do-it-yourself elk hunt. There's nothing, it's not in the regulations that says you have to take a guide. But if you live downstate or you live in the UP and you have no idea about the territory, you've never hunted elk before, I think finding a guide is a pretty good option. Brian Krause is a Michigan elk guide. His company is BK Guide Service, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Hey, Brian, welcome. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good, except I didn't get an elk tag.
Yeah. Join the crowd, right?
How many years have you been guiding Michigan elk hunters, Brian?
I actually started in 2008 and been going ever since. And for this year, there's actually 260 elk tags out there.
260.
So, Christmas came early for a lot of men and women that got them tags. You know, they're the coveted tag, and same with the guides. You know, we're happy to be a part of it.
Oh, I bet it is rewarding. I bet it's a lot of fun to get people out on what realistically will be a once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Exactly. And, as a guide, we get to do everything but pull the trigger. So it's a fun experience and making people's dreams come true.
So what is a Michigan elk hunt like? What can a Michigan elk hunter expect?
Each hunt is going to be different. So this early season is going to be your tougher hunt because of the weather. We're starting August 27th.
Ooh.
And so your cow tag is going to be the tougher one for that early season.
Really?
We got lots of there's lots of food source in the woods, and the bull tag will be a little bit easier because as the hunt goes on, September 13th to the 16th, and then September 27th to the 30th, then you get into when the bulls will be bugling. So then the opportunities get better. But that early season, it's a tough tag to fill, the cow tag. December is a lot easier.
So when somebody gets say they got a notification, okay, I am successful in my elk hunt drawing, they will know whether it's a cow or a bull tag. Will they know at the time which season it's for?
Yes. Yep. It'll specify whether you got the early season and whether you got a cow tag, and same for December. If you got a December tag, it'll specify on there that you got a December tag. And the December hunt, there's actually 3 different areas. It's split up in area H, which is that's for December. That's going to be the north end of the Pigeon, and then area I, which is from like Clark Bridge Road, if you're familiar with it. It's the southern part of the Pigeon, right on down to Atlanta. And then the outer laying area is area X, which is open to everybody. So you'll be specified one of them for December.
You don't have to take or hire a Michigan elk guide. You could go out and do it on your own, right?
Exactly. If you got the time to scout, it's very doable. The advantage of having a guide is, we've done the scouting for you. We got a good idea where the animals are. Certain guides have access to private property, which is a plus. So those are some of the, better aspects of having a guide, especially on this early season. I recommend a guide. December is a little bit easier. You got some snow, you can track, but this early season, people are under the assumption that you can just drive up here and drive around and get out and shoot one.
Exactly.
That's the biggest myth. That's the biggest myth of Michigan elk hunting there is, because that's not going to happen.
So is a Michigan hunt, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but is a Michigan hunt a real elk hunt? Is it like out west, or is it more like a put and take pheasant hunt?
It's I wouldn't call it a put and take. It's because when you look at the numbers on this early hunt, out of there's going to be 100 tags for the first second and 160 for December. So out of those 100 tags, there's 70 cow tags, 30 bull tags. Out of those 70 cow tags, there's going to be at least, on the low end, 20 guys go home without elk.
Oh, so it's not a guarantee.
It's not no guarantee. It's a hunt. It's the real deal, and you need to take it serious. And that's the advantage to me of having a guide. But if you're a hunter and you got the free time to do your scouting, you can make it happen. But I recommend a guide myself. But
I think it's the way to go. I'm not a guide. I got no dog in this hunt. But it seems to me, Brian, that if you were finally lucky enough to draw a tag, most people have been waiting years and years and years, and you likely will never get another tag. Why not get the odds in your favor as well as you can, and spend a little bit of money and hire a guide?
Exactly. Exactly. And some of these big guide outfits, they've got access to some primo private property, and they kill some phenomenal bulls. I myself hunt a lot of state land, and I'm very successful at it. So there's some choices out there. There's a group called Michigan Elk Hunting. I think it's on Facebook. And there's a wealth of information about different guides. And I encourage if you call me and question me about a hunt, I'm going to give you 100% what I feel I can offer to you. And I'll tell you, Mike, hey, call somebody else and talk to them, because it's a once in a lifetime deal, and you want to feel comfortable with it. And one thing that hunters need to share with us is, do you have any physical limitations? So if you call me and I say, well, can you walk, Mike? Yeah, I can walk. I can walk out the mailbox and back. Well, I might not be your guy then, but another outfitter that has access where he can set you up on some food plots or something, that might be a better choice. So, you need to ask all the questions. And, so there's a lot that goes into it.
I know you must have had people do this in the past, but how common is it for somebody to say, look, I want to use, say, a bow to get my Michigan elk? Have you ever guided a bow hunter?
I never have. I've got friends that guide that have had bow hunters, and typically they'll hunt for, I don't really know of any that actually harvested one with a bow, but they've tried, and they've hunted for 3, 4, 5 days, and they always have their rifle in camp. And towards the end, if they can't get it done, then they'll take their rifle. But it's doable with a bow, sure.
What's the in your experience? Well, in your experience, because you've guided a lot of people and you've seen a lot of Michigan elk taken. What's a good, or the best, even if you can say that, caliber rifle for a Michigan elk? What should a person bring up there with them if they got a choice?
I just had a guy call me yesterday, and he was quizzing me, and he said, I got a 30-06, and to me that's a perfect 30-06 is plenty. Guys, 300 Win Mag. Some guys use 270s. I love the 30-06. I've had a lot of elk killed in front of me with a 30-06. One thing on this firearm thing, a hunter needs to do his homework. Get your gun sighted in. I get guys coming to camp, and man, they've pulled their old Remington 700 out of the corner of the closet, and I killed a buck with that 5 years ago, and no, you need to have this thing sighted in and ready to go. And it's something that I see quite often. And practice shooting off shooting sticks. Get your gun sighted in, at a range, off the bench, and then practice off shooting sticks. Because these opportunities, when we get on these elk, they're not happening every 2-3 hours. We can get an opportunity, and there might be a day or two before we can get on something again. So you need to be able to capitalize when the time comes.
Well, it could be the hunt of a lifetime, and I recommend that folks hook up with a guide. Brian Krause from BK Guide Service. How do people find you? You got a website, Facebook page, Brian, or what is it?
I don't. I just have a cell phone number, and I offer one-on-one hunts. So
I'll tell you what, rather than give your number out because people forget, I will say if somebody wants to get in touch with you, they can send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and I will pass your number along. Brian, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. And you can get on the DNR website, and they list all the guides.
Okay.
And you'll see my name on there, and that's another one. And on this Facebook, Michigan Elk Hunters, sometimes my name pops up on there, but that's another.
And your name has popped up on the Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page with a picture of a big bull that somebody shot. Brian, listen, it's a pleasure. I appreciate your time. Good luck in this season, and I'll be waiting to see how your hunters do. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Brian Krause of BK Guide Service. You can learn more about him online or shoot me an email, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Coming up after the break, the luckiest Michigan elk hunter that you've ever talked to. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK. That's 105.7 FM. You can hear us down in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM, and you can hear us up in Marquette on WDMJ. 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by VersaSkins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Why buy a bunch of different sets of hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality set and snap on and zip on an outer shell of a different camo pattern, and you can do it in less than a minute. If you need big sizes, I'm talking 4, 5, 6X, or if you are a saddle hunter, VersaSkins has hunting clothes for you as well. Check them out online at versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. All right, so we've been talking about drawing a Michigan elk tag. Very, very few hunters did, only 260 across the state. Tens of thousands applied. I like to think of getting a Michigan elk tag as like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And getting a bull tag, I mean, that literally is supposed to be once-in-a-lifetime experience. I want to talk now to a guy who I'm considering is the luckiest elk hunter in Michigan. His name is Mike Scherzer. He's a friend of mine. And a few years ago, Mike was listening to this show at the end of the year, and I said, hey, here's a friendly reminder. Don't forget to apply for the Pure Michigan Hunt. Well, part of the Pure Michigan Hunt is you get a bull elk tag. Well, Mike Scherzer at the last minute says, yeah, I'll throw in a chance. And he won the Pure Michigan Hunt. And he got an elk tag. A bull elk tag. A few days ago, I get a text from Mike Scherzer. In fact, we'll bring Mike on the phone line right now and let him tell the story. Mike, welcome back to the show. How have you been?
Very well this week for sure. Anyway,
all right. So tell me. So you were awaiting the bear and elk application drawing, just like the rest of us. What happened?
Correct. So I thought after the Pure Hunt, when I first won that, I thought it was a one and done deal. I thought you're done with Pure Hunt, and I thought you're done to win that again. You're done to win or to get an elk tag, but they said no, keep applying. So I never thought there was a chance, but I always just kept applying. Well, Monday morning I just checked on there, and it says successful. I couldn't hardly believe it. My wife said, I said, this thing says successful, and so I phoned in, and it is for a cow tag for the December hunt.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so just blown away. So back to Canada Creek Ranch I'm going. I got it all set up. I was there, in 16, so 8 years ago. So here we go back. Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Very, very fortunate.
So you win
Very,
the Pure
very
Michigan Hunt, and then you get another elk tag about 8 years later. And
That's right.
I have to point out, Mike, that there are a lot of us who have been applying for more than 20 years and never gotten a tag yet.
Well, just to make it public here, I'm done. I'm not applying no more.
Thank you.
But I can. I mean, because I could still win a bull tag because the Pure Hunt trumps that. But I'm done.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Pure Michigan Hunt. It's like supersedes everything.
Right.
And if I remember right, you shot a nice bull on that hunt, didn't you?
I shot a beautiful bull. I shot a 6x4 elk, at Canada Creek in the December hunt. And I was glad I got the December hunt again. Well, this time because I don't have to, it's cold. I don't have to worry about hurrying out and getting to a butcher, and can enjoy the job, and as long as I get the animal, but can enjoy the hunt, and yeah.
So that big bull you shot, how long did it take you guys? Did you eat that thing in a year, or did you have to give a bunch of it away? I'm trying to figure out how much meat that is and how long it takes to eat it.
So the elk weighed, the DNR, you go right to their check station, and dressed was 425 pounds, dressed. And then elk is fantastic too. It's probably one of the best out of all the venisons. And no, I'm going to tell you, we had some cookouts and stuff. I'm going to tell you a year's time.
Okay.
A year's time we ate it.
So it's time to fill the freezer with another one.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone's got to do it. So I guess I'm the chosen one, apparently.
Apparently you are. You might want to buy some lotto tickets here too, I think.
Well, that's what all my buddies been texting me. You better go buy the Powerball. Buy the Powerball. But, I'm just very, very fortunate, very blessed to do it. And I'm done applying, so just everybody can.
Thank you. Get out of the way now. Let the rest of us have some fun.
Yeah, I'm out of the way.
Hey,
yeah.
Mike, while I got you, I'm talking to you from your camp, I believe, in Ontario. Tell me about that operation real quick.
So it's just Chris and I have a small-time operation here, and we just have we bear hunt and have some friends up bear hunting with us. And I actually just got back Sunday. I was on a fly-in trout fishing trip, and we had a great trip with some friends here, lake trout and brook trout, and had a beautiful trip. So, yeah, just enjoying the country.
Do you do bear hunts for other people? Can somebody get in touch with you and say, "Hey, I want to come up and bear hunt with you"? Or is it just a circle of friends?
No, it's just us. Just
Gotcha.
us. Yep, we do. Just us. Yep.
Well, it sounds like fun. Good luck on your bear season. Good luck on the rest of your summer fishing season. And, of course, good luck on that December elk hunt. Mike, always a pleasure. And we'll talk again, but I'm kind of glad it won't be because you got another Michigan elk tag.
No, I'm telling you, it won't be because I got a Michigan elk tag. It may be in December if hopefully I fill that tag. But
excellent.
No more.
I will look forward to that.
No more surprises. No.
All right, Mike Scherzer, appreciate your time. Congrats again.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
All right, We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, Brent Pike from the Michigan Wildlife Council with an update on the Here for Generations campaign. This is a campaign that I'm a big fan of. It's a campaign to get the word out about hunting and fishing and the benefits we provide to society in general. So Brent will be our last guest of the hour, this first hour right here of Outdoor Magazine. So you made it. You've been around long enough to qualify for Medicare. Congrats. Now what do? Medicare options can be confusing, even a little overwhelming, and you need people on your side to help figure out the different plans and benefits and what's best for you. For me, the answer was obvious, and I reached out to my friends at the Yider Insurance Group. Yider has a team of licensed Medicare agents that can help you sort through the different options and get the benefits you deserve. Go to the website yider.com. That's Yider, IEUTER.com to learn more. And don't hesitate to call the number on that website to talk with a real person for personalized service. You've worked hard for a lot of years to earn the benefits Medicare can offer. Your friends at Yider can make sure you get the best protection possible. Again, that's Yider.com. Yider does not offer every plan in your area. Currently, we represent 3 organizations that offer 37 plan options. Please contact Medicare.gov, 1-800-MEDICARE, or your local state health insurance program to get information on all your options. I've worked with some great Michigan companies over the years, owned by people who love this great state. They eat, sleep, and live the outdoors, but they also have a passion for making great products. That's the way I look at the Grillo family of Michigan brand meats. When they're not in the woods or on the water, you'll find them working on their jerky, sausage, hunter sticks, hams, and more. Michigan brand is a family operation. They've been around more than 40 years, so they know what it takes to make great tasting snacks for your family. Go to the website michiganbrand.net. That's michiganbrand.net to get a look at all their products. You can use that website to find a Michigan brand retailer near you. Just click on the store locator button and put in your zip code. Or you can order directly from Michigan brand on the website too. Use the promo code Mike20 and save 20% off your entire order. Michigan brand meats, a Michigan tradition for more than 4 decades. That's michiganbrand.net. You don't get to be one of Michigan's fastest growing credit unions without a reason, and Security Credit Union has lots of them. First, Security Credit Union loves to work with folks like us, people who love the Michigan outdoors and what our state has to offer. They have 15 branches for your convenience and a great online banking system available anytime. So Security Credit Union can be there when you need them. If you go to the website securitycu.org, that's securitycu.org, you can learn more about those branches, services, and online banking. Right now, Security Credit Union has great rates on certificates of deposit. CDs are a good way to grow your green in today's world of finance. You have lots of choices in banking these days, so why not deal with people who share your work ethic, respect your time, and want to help you succeed? That's Security Credit Union, online at securitycu.org. Security Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. Times have changed, and so should your hunting rifle. It's time to take a look at a Brenton USA hunting rifle. Brenton is a Michigan-based manufacturer of high-quality, extremely accurate AR-style rifles. In calibers from .204 Ruger up to the popular .450 Bushmaster, Brenton USA hunting rifles are perfect for predators, bear, deer, and even bigger game. Check them out online at BrentonUSA.com. BrentonUSA.com.
The Michigan DNR Hunt Fish app is your digital connection to all things hunting and fishing in Michigan. Buy, store, and display your hunting and fishing licenses, check your points and chances for elk and bear, apply for the draw, and view drawing results. Access all the hunting and fishing regulations, view your hunter safety certificate, and report your harvest, all from within the Michigan DNR Hunt Fish app. Just click the app banner at the top of the page for download instructions at michigan.gov/hunting.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Flint on Sports Extra 1330 WTRX. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM 99.7 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM, where I will be bear hunting this fall. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Killer Food Plots, Michigan-based family-owned Killer Food Plots. You put a lot of time and effort into these food plots, but by doing that, you can increase your odds of success and increase the amount of pleasure, the amount of enjoyment you can have hunting this fall because you're going to see more wildlife. Get in touch with the folks at Killer Food Plots. The website, killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com to learn more, to see what they have to offer, the seed blends, the services. Rich Grzan of Killer Food Plots is going to tell you right off the bat, the first thing to do is get a soil sample. So get your soil sample. Then get in touch with Rich at Killer Food Plots to see what the next step is. That's killerfoodplots.com. Okay, I want to turn our attention now to a group that I've been working with for several years. It's a group that I have much respect for and support absolutely. It's the Michigan Wildlife Council and their Here for Generations campaign. The website is hereformioutdoors.org. Brent Pike is a member of that group, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Brent, welcome back. How are you?
I'm well, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get an elk tag, but I'm happy because I did get a bear tag. So, hey, all is good.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's those elk tags are. I don't know what are the odds of getting that? Slim, right?
Pretty slim. Yeah, the odds are probably better of getting struck by a lightning during this phone call than getting a Michigan elk tag.
Yeah, that's too bad. But it's cool. We've got that resource in the state, and obviously those resources are here because of hunters like you and I, providing habitat and support for them to be here. I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand that, wild animals for a lot of people are a nuisance, and if it weren't for conservationists like us, they just wouldn't be allowed to be here because they're just, they hurt crops and they, wreck cars and, a lot of people just don't like them for those reasons, as much as we love them, they don't want them around for their inconvenience,
And isn't getting that word out part of what the goal of your group is?
Absolutely. That's, one of the things that, we just try to educate, the non-hunting crowd out there that, hey, we're hunters, but we're conservationists. I mean, we, as much as we like, eating venison and black bear and walleye and things, when we're not hunting them, we're doing everything we can to propagate them and to help them along and make sure they've got, habitat for them to survive and thrive. So people that aren't hunters can go out and watch, elk up in Sheboygan area and can go out and see wild turkeys, strutting in the fields in the fall or in the spring, excuse me. And that's exactly what we try to do, is just try to educate people that, hey, hunting is conservation. If it wasn't for, hunters, we wouldn't have a lot of these things out there. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Why should we as hunters and anglers even care what the non-hunters and anglers think?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that say the same thing, but I mean, we all know that we are a very small minority of the overall population. And without it's a privilege to hunt. I mean, it's not, ingrained in our Constitution of the United States. And, Unfortunately, we've seen in other states where your hunting privileges can be taken away at the ballot initiative with uneducated, uninformed voters who, just don't like the fact that you went out and shot Yogi the bear, even though there's more bears now than there were 20 years ago in the state of Michigan.
Well, and and I love to hear you say that, because that's why I support you guys so much. I think you're doing a great job getting the word out about what we do to the folks who maybe don't understand or don't have a frame of reference. And it's proven that you guys are, as a phrase you like to say, moving the needle, so you're making an impact. Just a little bit of time, Brent, left. I want to switch gears here a little bit. Tell me about your company, Pike Gear.
Oh, thank you. So we are a Michigan-based premium upland hunting clothing company. So we kind of, like to think of ourselves as like the Sitka Kuiu of upland bird hunting. We have brought performance fabrics and materials to the upland bird hunters. So all of our stuff is synthetic, it's lightweight, it's got waterproof finishes, water resistant finishes, wicking finishes, you name it. We've brought all that cool technology to the upland bird hunter. And, people that have bought the stuff have been just, thrilled with how it just extended their days afield, because they're going from wearing, 3-pound Filson pants to, 12-ounce Pike pants. And people love this stuff. So I appreciate you asking about it. But yeah, that's kind of what we try to do, is bring, the 21st century technology to upland bird hunting that hasn't had really any technological advances in the clothing market, and since wax cotton was developed 100 years ago.
Well, the website for the Michigan Wildlife Council is hereformioutdoors.org, hereformioutdoors.org. What's the website for Pike Gear?
www.pikegear.com.
Excellent. We will take a look at that. Brent, keep up the good work at the Michigan Wildlife Council. Appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll check in again.
Sounds good. Thanks. Take care, Mike.
Absolutely.
Good luck with your bear tag.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Brent Pike of the Michigan Wildlife Council, here for MIOutdoors.org. The campaign is here for generations. And, that's kind of my whole goal here too, right? This is why I do the radio show. This is why I do what I do, that this outdoor lifestyle will continue to be here for generations. It's something I have enjoyed in my family for generations. It's something we have enjoyed in Michigan for generations. And those of us who enjoy this, I think, have an obligation to do what we can to make sure it is indeed here for generations. Michigan Wildlife Council is doing that here for MIOutdoors.org. We'll take a break. Hour number 2 coming up here in just a few minutes.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another hour of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I got to lean down and pick something up. There. Okay, pretend that never happened. You didn't hear the chair creak, and you didn't hear me bend over and pick up a document that I need here. Anyway, welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine. Professional operation here, Charlie Rude and I here in the studio. Between us, we've got probably 70 years of broadcast experience, which is actually kind of crazy, isn't it? So you'd think we would run a little more professional operation. Oh, listen, the Outdoor Magazine radio show is something that's been around for a long time. You can hear us on more than 30 radio stations across the state of Michigan. And I always believe the best way to listen to this show, if you can, is on your local AM or FM station. If you can't, if your local affiliate doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, it's nice to know there's a podcast version of the show out there. You can hear the podcast on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I also put it on the Facebook page. It's on Amazon Music and Audible and Twitter, now called X. LinkedIn, Apple Music, yada, 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 Player, Deezer, Odyssey, yada, 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 YouTube, everywhere. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? I do like podcasting, though. I think it's a great way to get the word out. In fact, I do podcast each month for some of my advertising partners, including Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, and Primal Outdoors. When we're done here in the studio recording this week's radio show, I will record this month's Primal Outdoors podcast with a good friend of mine, Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters. And the topic this time around is placement of tree stands and ground blinds for whitetails and you know, how to pick good gear. Well, Bill has more experience with that than anybody that I know. Speaking of experience, when you want to talk to a guy, talk with a guy, talk about a guy, talk of a guy who has probably more experience on the water than any working charter captain on the Great Lakes. That's quite a statement. I can't find anybody who's been out there longer than Captain Ed Retherford of Trout Scout Charters. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line, of course, from the water. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Hi, Mike. How are you, Ben?
Well, listen, I'm doing good, but I'm here in the studio. You're there on the water. I'm a little bit jealous.
I know. We've actually had a good morning. The waves are starting to pick up, but it's coming out of the northwest. We're at Presqu'île, so that roughs up a little bit. But we're it's only 10 miles an hour, so it's not bad at all. But we're dodging a cement plant boat right now, but we're doing good. Okay, right. If you hear a horn go off, my autopilot, my mate, we're going to be yelling at each other here, but we're doing good. Okay. Is it
foggy? Is it foggy out there this morning? It was foggy.
No,
I'm sure.
Not at all. We see it coming, but he just changed the course on us. I don't know if he's going into one of the other ports or not here, but we're doing good. No, we saw him coming from miles away, but yeah, it'd be a little embarrassing if I ran into a ship while I'm talking to you. Okay, we're good now because we can see the one side of the boat. If you can see the one side, you're safe, so you're good. So, and hopefully I'm not getting background noise.
No, it sounds good.
Away from the end. Okay,
no, it sounds good. Absolutely. I'm sending a text here at the same time. So you've been out there for 55 years. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes, I started way before 1969, but I started guiding. I didn't even know then they had to have a license, but I had a guide license. There was actually a guide association at one time in Michigan, and I was part of that. And then of course, the background, but a lot of people might not. But then I actually ran steelhead trips on the river on the Osavo and guided for lake trout on Lake Michigan and out of Petoskey for a few years. And then they planted brown trout in Alpena. And of course, after that, the brown trout fishing became world class. And that's what I did. That's what I did for quite a few years until, things happened with the brown trout fishery. We're not going to go into that today. But anyways, slowly things are coming back. And you've had me on numerous times, but I'll let you ask the question. Okay.
Because that's what I do.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
It's the only thing I know how to do, Ed. So it was the browns, it was the trout that brought you from Lake Michigan over to Lake Huron?
No. Well, yeah, but I was in Alpena to begin with. But yeah, because the lake trout fishing over there at the time, that was what the fishing was. That was basically the only deep water fishing that we had until the cohos came in, in the fall and that kind of stuff. So, so that we went to Petoskey, 2 or 3 times a week. And then eventually, I would go on boats and I would bring all my rigging for the people and, teach them how to fish lake trout. And then of course they started planting the browns, but I did, we fished the salmon in the fall and at Oscoda in different places, but I wasn't into taking people then, but then I started.
It's interesting you say teaching because, you also spent many years as a teacher, but is part of your job as a charter captain teaching people how to fish?
Well, I sort of feel that way because I've had so many different mates that have been successful or people that have fished with me. And, now they're very successful in what they do. And actually the people on the boat today one of them is actually from Midland, but they're from Georgia. And they really, they know about the Saginaw Bay fishery, and they talked about, back in the day when they used to do the salmon fishing and that at Rockport and that kind of thing. Because one gentleman, like I said, was from Midland, so they knew all about where we're at today.
So you're out there today. You say you're fishing out of where, Ed?
Out of Presqu'île. Okay, it's between Alpena and Rogers City.
So how far offshore are you right now?
2 miles maybe, and we're in 140 feet of water, 130 feet of water. So that drops right off here. So that's basically why we're out of here. South of us, as you know, has got a lot of gypsum rock and reefs and shallow bays and this, and I move up here. I start the year. Well, I always used to stay right in Alpena when we had the brown trout fishery and we were getting the salmon plants and that kind of thing. They've moved north. The salmon plants have moved north, and the brown trout plants are all private plants now that we pay for actually. But they are starting to show up a little bit too, but just not this time of the year.
So what are you fishing for now?
Well, today we got our limited lake trout, but we're going to call them silverfish. We're fishing for, basically right now whatever bites, because we're fishing silverfish, be like rainbow trout or steelhead and Atlantic salmon, and there are a few coho around up here, but what I'm seeing or not seeing is that in Alpena we had the bug hatch, the mayfly hatch, and up here that hasn't happened yet because the water is so cold yet. So we're not seeing any slicks or anything on the water. Oh, here. We just had a hit. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, we missed it. Okay, we missed the fish. Okay, yeah.
The one thing I didn't hear you mention is kings. You don't expect you could get a king today at all?
No, well, they're catching, incidental kings, but, it's still pretty early in the year. It's June yet, but, they have been catching one or two kings. Some of the guys, as I told you, I've just basically started up here. So I was fishing out of Alpena, where we actually were getting a few silverfish in that. I was on other boats because I'm not going to go into it, but you saw my little accident, so I had to use other captains. So okay, right?
Yeah. Let's just say, Ed, for an old guy, you're a pretty tough guy.
Yeah. I at least had to come in that day, right? The last time when I had a hook in my ear, I just stayed out there, but this time I came in. But yeah, that was quite the thing. And I can't. My wife said I'm not supposed to talk about it because I tell everybody that I got dinged pretty good. So.
Well, I saw the picture. You did get dinged pretty good, and we won't go into detail, but just it's just one more experience, one more story in your bag of tales over the many years on the water.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad it was me and not a customer. So that's
a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, Ed, I got to take a break. You know how this works. I got to take a break. So I got 4 minutes here now where you can just do hardcore fishing.
Anyways, Mike, so it'll be good. Okay.
All right. TroutScoutCharters.com, TroutScoutCharters.com. Don't hang up, though, Ed. We're coming back to you. TroutScoutCharters.com. We're talking with Captain Ed Retherford. 55 years this guy has been on the water, guiding fishermen, teaching fishermen, catching fish, showing people how to catch fish, showing people a wonderful experience on both Lake Michigan, the rivers, Lake Huron. I know him as a Lake Huron guy. I know him as a brown trout guy. That's how I first got to know him, but he is so much more. TroutScoutCharters.com is the website, TroutScoutCharters.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show on more than 30 stations across the great state of Michigan. They include WIOS in Tawas, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. WTCM in Traverse City, it's 580 AM. And WTIQ in Manistee, 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Matt Smyth, Outdoors Realtor. Matt, a longtime friend of mine, he's an expert at finding recreational properties and vacation homes, and he can help your family turn a dream into reality. Learn more online at Matt Smyth Outdoors. He's on Facebook and Instagram. And by the way, if you're looking for a new home as your primary residence, Matt can help you out there as well. That's Matt Smyth Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. You know, I talk about Matt being a longtime friend and a guy who's got a lot of experience. Ed Retherford is also a longtime friend of mine, and he's got... This guy knows more about fishing than most of us ever will. Well, more than I ever will. Trout Scout Charters, the website, troutscoutcharters.com. He's been fishing for 55 years as a guide and as a charter captain, and he's on the Outdoor Magazine phone line right now. A northern Lake Huron on a charter. Ed, please tell me you guys took a fish during the break.
No, we missed that one. Okay, sorry. It sounds like a ruthless charter captain, but it was probably a lake trout. So we already got our limit of lake trout, so we're pulling quite fast. So trying to catch steelhead or Atlantic or coho this time of the year. But it's the water's still real cold up here, so we're just starting to get into that type of fishing. But we do get a good variety, like I've talked about before, and sometimes we get 6 or 7 different species. Plus, we get those toothy critters that you guys got in Saginaw Bay, walleyes up here, and all the pros know there's some walleyes up here. So
yeah, some big walleye.
Yes. Yep.
Listen, let's talk about lake trout for a minute, because years ago when the salmon fishery, well, let me go back. Before the salmon fishery crashed, lake trout were disrespected. They were talking about slime balls and grease balls and greasers, and nobody wanted to catch them. And then when the salmon fishery crashed, boy, people were darn glad to have those lake trout out there. Today's lake trout, Ed, don't look like those fish we used to catch years ago. They're a different flesh. They're a different tasting fish, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Well, two different things. One, they went to a river strain of lake trout, which was the Seneca strain, and that strain took off. It probably, eventually they'll go big, but they're not as big as what we call the old classic lake trout that, been out here for years. But the texture of the meat, and when the alewives did crash, and thank God we had the gobies, but they have a diet now pretty much of gobies and smelt, and the texture, and actually they almost look like salmon when you fillet them. So, it's a different respect to that. Of course, they don't fight like your what we call the silverfish, but they're still here, and they do have a real nice taste to them now. So.
I know what you mean when you talk about silverfish. You've used that term a couple of times, but tell our listeners who might not know, Ed.
Oh yeah, well, we call silverfish basically the salmonoids and the rainbow trout or the steelhead, and the salmonoids, the coho, the Atlantics, the Chinook, and we have the pink salmon, which we haven't seen that many pink salmon up here yet this year. They migrate from the south. We are planting more coho in Lake Huron, and they're showing up. They're showing up more in the catches now too, which they didn't in the past. Yeah. And then the kings will start moving up. They're starting to catch an occasional king. Like I said, I just moved up to Presqu'île, and I know the guys were catching 1 to 2 kings a day. That doesn't seem like a lot, but they'll start moving towards Rogers City and northern Lake Huron after the 1st of July, or in that time period.
Ed, your cell is, I don't want to say it's breaking up, but for somebody listening, they say, boy, he sounds odd. I just want to let people know you are on your cell on Northern Lake Huron. I suspect it's going to come back because it's not too bad. So we're still in good shape. So describe for me, Ed Retherford, if you would, your setup this morning. Riggers, planers.
Let me go to the phone over here.
Yeah, you're running down riggers, you're running dipsies, you're running planers. What do you got out there, Ed?
Okay. Yeah, I've got 14 rods out today, but we're running, sometimes I run a few more than that, but we've cut back on the downriggers. We're only running 2 to 3 downriggers, 2 to 4 dipsies, and then, 3 to 4 side planers on a side, So we have anywhere from lead line to copper line on the offshore planers. Anywhere from the lead everybody's just 10 yards of color. We run 3 or 5 or 7 colors or maybe more, but I run a lot of copper now too. 75 feet of copper, 125, 150, 200. It depends on the water temperature.
14 lines out. That's a lot to keep track of for somebody who doesn't have your experience.
Yes, but it's not that bad anymore because everybody, with YouTube and everything else, and with everybody teaching, it makes it a lot easier for the novice coming out. I mean, they're not going to run that many, but now you can run 3 lines in Michigan, per person. So that helps some of the guys. It's just 2 people can run 6 lines now. They can run 2 downriggers, 4 side planers if they want, or 2 downriggers, 2 gypsy divers, and 2 side planers. Where in the past we were only allowed to do lines a person.
Right. Now, if earlier this morning when you were actually targeting Lakers, the old way of doing that would be to bounce the downrigger balls off the bottom in the sand. I suspect there are more sophisticated or productive tactics these days, or are you still going the old way, the old route?
Oh no, I'm still the old way. I just don't run. We don't run the cowbells that much anymore up here. I don't, because we have, with all the clear water now, basically what we have in the biologist at Minar. I'm a biologist, but I haven't looked it up. I'm not a botanist, but there's a slime algae that's on the bottom, so the cowbells actually get, if you hit bottom with them, you get that slime on them. So we're running flashers and dodgers, and then either lures behind them or spinner glows behind them. And then later on, I'll run cut bait, and we'll run a lot more salmon type lures. But right now, I only had 2 or 3 down by the bottom, and I had everything up high. But like I said, we haven't had a mayfly hatch or anything up here north yet. In Alpena, they did have. So the steelhead and that started showing up there because they're bug feeders.
You mentioned cowbells, man. That brought back some memories. I haven't even heard that term for a long time.
Right. Yeah, and I still have the original silver ones too. So but those are, people don't even know what those are because there was a lot of technique to those in the old days, but we don't have to do that much anymore.
Ed, you've seen the ups and downs of the Great Lakes fishery. How would you rate it right now?
Well, again, like you said, a lot of people, have a misunderstanding with lake trout. That's sort of our bread and butter at times, but at certain times, basically after June, we can catch up to 7 different species of fish out here, during the day. You might not catch, like back in the 90s, probably when you were up here, or the 80s, we'd catch 15 kings. People didn't even realize how good of a king fishery we had in this area. What I'm talking about is Chinooks. But, that's gone by the wayside because there's only 1 or 2 places they plant them now in Lake Huron. But we, there's a good variety, and that's what we go by.
How much longer are you going to stay out there, Ed? I mean, I don't mean today's trip. I just mean in general.
Well, I'm still going, Mike. I'm running the back of the boat yet, so we'll see. I'm getting a little tired at times now. I'm down to only a few 2-day trippers a year, but I'm pretty busy. Okay, and I think my wife told everybody last year that was my last year, but she misunderstood me.
Well, do you still like it, Ed?
Oh yeah, I still enjoying like the guys today. I got one from actually your neighborhood from Midland, and I think the other 3 are from Georgia. I mean, I know 2 of them are. I didn't ask all of them, when they were up, but two are from Georgia, and one's from Midland. So, and they come up. This is the first time they've been with me. It might be the last. Who knows? But we're doing, whatever. But we're having a good time.
So what's the appeal? Is it seeing that sunrise? Is it being on the water? Is it catching fish? Is it helping out your clients? Why? What keeps you out there?
Well, I like. Geez, that's a tough question because that's all of those I enjoy. I enjoy the lakes today. It's ideal. We're going to get a heavy northwest wind in the next couple of days, which is going to make it miserable. But we only have like 1 or 2 foot waves today, and earlier we were moaning and groaning because we wanted a little chop, and now we've got a chop. So that's
be careful what you wish for, right?
Well, that's correct, especially up here because there's not a lot of places to hide. We're in the open water. It's just like This is just like fishing Lake Michigan. We got deep water, and we're only 3 miles offshore, and you get some pretty vicious waves. Where in Thunder Bay you can fish. That's a huge 9 by 9 mile square bay, or not square bay, but horseshoe bay, and you can fish that, in different spots. But with the wind currents now, we get a lot of southeast winds in the afternoon there too.
Ed, listen, it's always a pleasure. I will wish you good fishing. I will stay in touch with you, and I'll send people to your website, TroutScoutCharters.com. That's TroutScoutCharters.com. And we'll talk again, Ed.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm sorry I couldn't get a big fish on the last time we talked again. But
see, you could have made up the story and told me that, and I never would have known the difference. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, Steve Windom of MUCC checks in with details on the Mentored Youth license. That's coming up for a vote. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on 2 stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Houghton Lake on the Twister, 92.1 WTWS. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Premier Maritime Training. If you've ever wanted to get your captain's license, I think this is your best bet. Captain John Littlefield taught my captain's class, and he can help you become a licensed charter captain as well. Check out the website, pmtcaptains.com, for more info. John has classes across the state, and I'm sure you can find one that fits your schedule. Again, that's pmtcaptains.com. While you're online, of course, check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and then jump over to MUCC.org, MUCC.org, the website of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs, the country's largest sportsman's-based organization. Steve Windom is with MUCC. He's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Steve, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, when we met earlier in the week, you gave me some very interesting positive news about the mentored hunting license. What's going on?
Yeah, so we are expecting that today they will discharge it from committee, so it will have to skip the committee meeting that it sits in now currently, but it should be on the Senate floor today as well for a vote. So legislator is really tied up in budgeting right now, but we are trying to push this over the finish lines because they are done after this week. So we're looking for it to be discharged out of committee and then hit the Senate floor and go to vote, and so that we can hopefully enact this for this upcoming deer season.
And there was concern that with the break coming up, they weren't even going to get to this. So this is good news.
Yeah, this is great news. A great way that people have come together for conservation on both sides of the aisle, and that they understand that, there are some really important changes being made that expands this to people with developmental disabilities or handicaps. And so, we heard one of the conservation officers testify. We heard a mother who testified for her son, and to be able to get those young people, even those grown adults, if they're living with a developmental disability, back in the woods to restore their outdoor heritage, we want to do everything we can to help that.
So this would no longer then just to apply to people under a certain age. It would apply to people who have some kind of a disability that will allow them to stay in the outdoors.
Yeah, so this doesn't change anything for those that are 9 years of age and under, as we know that the Mentor Youth license is for 9 years of age and under. What this does is allow people who have those developmental disabilities or handicaps, and they're not able to pass a traditional hunter safety course, whether it's through cognitive impairment or something like that, but they're not able to actually get licensed. And so if you're not able to pass that license, you run out of the mentor license at 9. You have 2 years of the apprentice license that you can utilize after that. But really, by 11 years old, these people with these handicaps are done hunting. Their outdoor heritage is really taken away from them. So this bill expands the ability for, with the proper documentation and the ability to prove that you need this workaround, that you're able to utilize that mentor license in perpetuity while under direct supervision of a caretaker or a licensed hunter for these people to be back in the woods.
Excellent. That's good news. And that should, by the time folks hear the show this weekend, hopefully there will have been action on that.
Yeah, so check MUCC.org for any updates on our blog, and stay tuned for the Conservation Insider email, our newsletter. We'll be giving updates as that goes on, and check our Facebook page for any of the updates in real time as well.
And also check those same outlets for info on the deer meetings that are going on as we speak or will be very shortly.
Yeah, while we are recording this on Wednesday morning, they are up at Treetops. I'm actually tuning in live. MUCC live streams all of the NRC meetings. And so if you can't get to one of the meetings, always check the MUCC Facebook page. We live stream every single NRC meeting. We're live streaming the current deer work group right now that's taking place at Treetops and Gaylord.
Steve, you and I had a chance to get together earlier in the week. We met with Emil Rousseau and Gigi of the Forward Corporation and Tom from the West Branch Country Club. Of course, the topic was the first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing coming up Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. Proceeds to benefit MUCC's youth camp. I'm really pleased with how this is going. It looks like we've got the first flight of golfers full. We're looking for more golfers, and of course, we're looking for more sponsors. People can sign up at mucc.org/golf. Where's this money going towards? I mean, I say youth camp, but what? Why do you need the money, Steve?
Yeah, we operate a historic DNR facility that's in Chelsea, Michigan at the Waterloo State Rec area. It's actually one of the original CCC camps, so back when the Citizens Conservation Corps was taking place. And so we maintain that property, and it's a 240-acre piece of property that we put over 300 kids every summer through the camp. And so there's kids down there right now as you and I are recording this episode, but that camp takes a lot of work. We need new archery equipment. We're trying to build a new archery range for the young people. We need a new 22 range to go in. We put 2 new roofs on this past spring. We need a new shower house. We need new kayaks. And so we're always looking for partners to help support us, educating the next generation of conservation stewards. But to be able to put kids through this camp, give them a world-class experience, whether they've never heard crickets or seen stars, or they took their first buck at 6 or 7 years old, this is a place where students get to come, whether it be day camp or our overnight camps, that they get to come and really be outdoors, learn about the North American wildlife model of conservation, learn archery, fishing, paddling, shoot 22s, be comfortable being outdoors, make friendships that last a lifetime. I meet so many people who are alumni of our camp at the adult age now and say, oh man, I went to the MUCC camp back when I was a kid, and this is really just helping them instill and strengthen their own outdoor heritage and teach them what it is to be a conservationist, but also, give them the skills. They can get hunter safety certified with us at camp while they're there, if they're 9 years of age or older.
And if you would like to help out, go to the website mucc.org/golf. You can sign up to play and or sponsor the events. Thank you, Steve Windom. Appreciate your time. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm out of time. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery segment right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY. That's 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Ludington on News 97, 98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Escanaba, the Riviera of the North. WCHT 600 AM, 93.5 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. By the way, Security Credit Union was one of the first companies that came on board to help sponsor the first annual charity golf outing coming up at the end of July. And that kind of leads me into this week's Ask Avery question. And I can't attribute this to anyone in particular, but just a reminder. If you do have a question for me, the best way to get that to me is to send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Sometimes people will send them to me via social media messaging platforms, and I usually get those, but again, just the best way for me to keep track of them, send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and in the subject line, put Ask Avery, and that way it's easy for me to keep track of and easy for me to address. So this is kind of a compilation. I can't attribute this to any particular person, but speaking of Security Credit Union reminded me of this. Two-part question. The first is, how do you decide what to cover on the show? And the second, as it wraps around to Security Credit Union, how do you decide what companies you're going to work with? So let's talk about topics on the show first of all. People say, how do you continue to come up with topics week after week, year after year? Don't you run out of topics? Don't you get burned out? Don't you struggle to find things to talk about? No, I don't get burned out. I still absolutely love what I'm doing. And in a state like Michigan, it is easy to come up with topics week after week to talk about in the outdoors because I'm not just limited to hunting or fishing or any other subcategory. This is a fairly broad-based outdoor show. Hunting, fishing, shooting, trapping, wildlife issues, conservation issues. What I don't get into is the areas that I call non-consumptive outdoor use. Say boating, skiing, camping, bird watching. All of those areas are wonderful, and they get people outdoors, and I support each and every one of those. But those areas are not under, I'll say, attack by certain groups that want to take it away from us. Hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping they're threatened in some ways because there are groups and there are mindsets out there that don't think we should be doing this and they want to take it away. And that's why I support and promote such things. And that's why the topics I talk about each week are primarily along those lines. The way I come up with these topics, I've lived here my whole life. I'm a hunter. I'm an angler. I follow the seasons. You're not likely to hear me talk about firearm deer season in April. Well, unless there's something coming up at the NRC or DNR about that. And you're not likely to hear me talk about trolling for salmon on Lake Michigan during the month of February. I follow the seasons. That's how I come up with my topics. I reach out to people. I look at previous shows. I think of, who is in my contact list? Sometimes I'll just randomly scroll through my contact list because at this point, it's pretty extensive. And I'll say, who haven't I had on for a while? Who have I never talked with before? I'm always looking for people that I've never talked with before. And that sometimes can be a challenge. If you have somebody you would like me to talk to, a topic you would like me to address that I have not, please send me an email to that same address, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Second part of the question, how do I decide who to work with? And I don't call them sponsors. To me, a sponsor is a company that comes and goes. You might sponsor a TV show for a 13-week quarter. Well, you're a sponsor. You're not a partner. I look for partners. I look for companies that we can work together in a mutually beneficial relationship that is hopefully long-term, where we have the same goals. Here's who I've learned to concentrate on over the years. Family-owned, Michigan-based companies that are outdoor-related primarily. Family-owned, Michigan-based companies. We have a same mindset. We have a same history. Our tradition is the same, and our goals are the same, to encourage people to get outdoors, to promote the outdoor lifestyle. And I find it so much more rewarding and so much more effective to deal with these smaller, family-owned Michigan companies. Look at it. I've had the chance to work with some of these bigger corporate conglomerates over the years, especially when I had a TV show. But the stability wasn't there. The partnership wasn't there. The relationship was there. The money was there. But I'm looking for something more. I'm looking for somebody I can work with who has the same mindset and the same goals. And I find that with Michigan-based family-owned businesses. So that's why you'll hear me talking about those types of companies. Again, a thank you to Security Credit Union, a Michigan-based company, not necessarily directly outdoor related, but they love to work with outdoorsmen and women, and that's why I work with them. Check them out online at securitycu.org, securitycu.org. And again, thank you to Security Credit Union for stepping up to help sponsor the Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing. I'd love to see you get involved. The website is mucc.org/golf. mucc.org/golf. We still have room for some golfers, and we always have room for people to help sponsor the event. mucc.org/golf. And again, thank you, Security Credit Union, for everything you do. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back in our third hour, Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures talking about fishing Southeast Michigan in hour 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Yes, indeed. This is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. Yeah, the show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is mikeaveryoutdoors.com. My email address is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and I do want to hear from you. Well, let's see. As you're hearing this show, 4th of July, how can it be? How can the 4th of July be coming up? How did we get to that point in the summer? I hope that you are having a good summer. I hope you are getting a chance to get out and enjoy our state's wonderful natural resources. If not, please use this basically second half of the summer to get that done. Don't wait and say, oh, yeah, we'll do it next week. We'll do it next month. No. Make those plans now and make them happen, because something will always get in the way. If you say, oh, we're going to wait and do it later, don't. Make the memories now. Make the memories with your kids when they're young. Make the memories with your grandkids. Whatever stage in life you are at, get out there, make some memories, introduce people to the outdoors, and have some fun. Because our state is one of the best outdoor destinations in the country. I've seen a lot of places. I've gone to a lot of cool things, a lot of cool places. But I love our great state of Michigan. It's such a diverse state. I mean, you look at it. You've got the UP, the Western UP. That's a different world than, say, Southeast Michigan. But they both have their attractions. Brad Smyth is a guy who he has focused on Southeast Michigan, fishing the Detroit area, and he's made a specialty out of it. In fact, his website is called ifishdetroit.com, and his company is Detroit Outdoor Adventures. I think that sums it all up. And Brad Smyth is with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Brad, welcome back. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mike?
I am doing great. Why this emphasis on Southeast Michigan?
Well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I go travel all around the country, all around the world, fishing and hunting and doing adventures, and I come back home and realize how blessed we are. We have some of the most incredible freshwater fishing known to man right in our backyard. And there's no other like Michigan that you can do that.
I know. I think it's crazy. We're surrounded by some of the best, certainly best fishing in the country. And I think, like being a Saginaw Bay walleye guy, sometimes I take it for granted. And I think sometimes we as anglers in Michigan take for granted what we have here.
I think we all have at some point or another. And if you haven't got to adventure outside of Michigan, you probably haven't realized how good we really have it. Within 3 hours of our houses, no matter where you live in the whole state, you have access to trophy species of freshwater fish.
That southeast corner of the state, for the longest time, for many years, I kind of overlooked it. I didn't realize the fishery and the diverse fishery and the types of species you guys have there, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild from the, muskie and smallmouth being some of the most prevalent targeted species in Lake St. Clair, with Lake Erie right down the street. And then our sturgeon fishing is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the St. Clair River has honestly the largest population of freshwater sturgeon in the country.
So what do you concentrate on, Brad? Where do you like to fish? What do you fish for?
I like doing all of it. That's kind of the thing, especially once you do it for a profession, it's hard to, stay passionate about it. So I try to, mix it up. And like right now we're in kind of a transition, getting ready, sturgeon fishing's not more than like 15 days away or 20 days away right now. And, I'm going to switch gears and start doing some of that. And, we just have so many opportunities. And then as soon as we get to the fall, then it's full throttle. You can do anything and everything. It's awesome.
You talked about that transition from a person who loves to fish for fun into making it your job. What is that like? What's involved in that from a mindset perspective, if nothing else?
Well, you got to love people, and you've got to love sharing the experience. That's my biggest thing, and that was always my passion, was like teaching and educating and entertaining. So for me to be able to go out and catch some fish, it's no big deal. And even on some of the days where I didn't feel like we really accomplished what I set out to do, I realized that the clients and the people that hadn't got to done it, that was maybe the best day of fishing they'd ever experienced in their lives. And that's what really got me into it at an early age, was the fact that we went on a trip and my cousins thought it was the greatest day ever. And I'm like, were we on the same trip? I'm like, because it wasn't that great. I'm like, it wasn't that great. They're like, no, we caught this and we caught that. And I'm like, well, guess what? My expectations are a lot higher than most people. And it's great, because that's what really fuels the passion, is just having other people experience it and then watch their, skill level and their knowledge develop. And then next thing you know, I have clients that are, I've taken some people since they were 10 years old, and I've taken other people that were, adults. And now I watch them go out and be successful on a regular basis at the same rate that I would. And it's all because of, the experience and the knowledge that I, gave them to start and pursued it. And it was, that's the most gratifying part for sure.
You say you started chartering guiding at an early age. How old were you?
26, I think, 27. So I'm 42 now. So
you're older than I thought you were.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's an interesting way to choose to make a living, though, isn't it? I mean, there's ups and downs. Plus, you got Mother Nature that you have no
Absolutely.
control over. You've got an economy that goes up and down that you have no control over. It's not like you can go into the office and say, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. When you head out on the water, you can have goals, but you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and absolutely. If any charter captain that does it professionally has ever told you that it's all wine and roses, they're full of crap. Because and they at any point in your career, you may have just thought back and be like, man, I should have just got a regular job type thing. But I like doing a lot of different things, and I just try to keep it fresh. I don't try to do one thing too long, whether it's targeting a certain species or even just fishing. I'm passionate about a lot of other outdoor activities and like gardening and whatnot, and I can kind of break it up and keep it fresh. So it's always, Michigan's great for the seasons and allows us to have so many different opportunities throughout the year that you never really get too overwhelmed and too burned out, so to speak, doing one particular thing. And that's the best part about Michigan.
And you mentioned sturgeon. That's kind of a new adventure for you, isn't it?
I've been targeting sturgeon for the last 12 or 15 years. Done it more regularly. Captain Jeremy Altman with My Guide Service is one of my best friends, and he's a sturgeon whisperer if I ever met one. That man can put a big one in the boat no matter what. It's pretty epic. So I've had the opportunity to learn a lot from him and learn a lot of the water from him, and it's just it's a cool experience because it's really relaxed fishing, and I really enjoy just being able to do the camaraderie and tell stories and hang out, and then just reel on a dinosaur. One of the biggest freshwater fish you're ever going to pull in, and do it a few times a night. It's pretty incredible.
Well, I feel that St. Clair River, the odds of catching a sturgeon there are probably better than any place in the country.
Oh, absolutely. We definitely, especially with the amount of work that the Sturgeon for Tomorrow have done and the spawning reefs we've built. We already have a substantial, population, but we've encouraged spawning, and we've done things as outdoors people to increase the opportunity for a lot of folks, and it's been really cool.
So what's it like to have a sturgeon on the end of the line? That's got to be a different world than, say, a smallmouth or a walleye or something like that.
Yeah, they pull harder than a king salmon. They might not fight as hard for as long, depending on the time of year, but you usually get a good 2-3 runs out of a good sized fish. And the 40+ inch fish are like my favorite. The 40 to 55s, they're super acrobatic too. Like they will come clean out of the water, full breach, and jump around and splash around, and then just go right back down to the bottom. And it's exciting. It's one of those things where if you're going to catch a fish and admire it and take a picture and release it, that's my favorite fish to pet it and let go.
Well, when you describe that, it sounds like a freshwater version of a tarpon.
The smaller ones, for sure. Like even some of the big ones, they'll a 60+ inch fish may try to completely breach the surface, but they don't typically get all the way out. But they do their best, and they pull hard. They're a lot of fun, and we don't get shut out. Like we have a 100% success rate of getting one in the boat.
Wow.
And 10 and 12 on a night is like the pinnacle of the catch rate. But an average of 3, maybe 4, it's probably closer to 4 at this point, is that's standard.
That is crazy.
Bycatch.
That's crazy. Brad, listen, hang tight.
Brad,
hang tight. I want to talk more about this. I got to take a break. We're talking with Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures. His website is ifishdetroit.com, and I is like iPhone, ifishdetroit.com. I got to follow up on this St. Clair sturgeon fishery, but there are a lot of other resources we're going to talk about, too, as we continue our conversation with Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. And you can hear us, let's go to Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the company that produces this sound. That's the sound of my Rapid River knife locking back open. You know I love Rapid River knives. My collection continues to slowly expand. If you would like to get a Rapid River knife or expand your current collection, we got a way for you to save some money. Use the promo code Avery10. That's Avery10. You can use that to save 10% on your Rapid River knife. You can use that in the showroom at Rapid River on US 2, just east of Rapid River, or on the website rapidriverknifeworks.us. Also, you can use that same promo code at Jay's Sporting Goods. Now, the selection at Jay's isn't going to be as big as what it would be, obviously, at the Rapid River shop. Real quick story about this. We were doing a segment, a Wednesday Night Live segment, talking about Rapid River. I was showing off my knife, talking about the promo code, and a guy came on and he said, man, I'm really impressed with that. He went on the website and he made a pretty big order, but he put in the promo code Avery10 incorrectly, so he didn't get the discount. He contacted me the next day. I reached out to Chris Durson, the owner of Rapid River Knives, and I said, what can you do? And he said, no problem. We will offer him a gift certificate to the store for our products to make up the difference. That's the type of company Rapid River is. They make pieces of art that are designed to be used every day. They're guaranteed for life. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.us. That's RapidRiverKnifeWorks.us. While you're online, check out my website, please, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Then jump on over to iFishDetroit.com. That's the website of Brad Smyth and his company, Detroit Outdoor Adventures. Brad, I got to follow up on this sturgeon fishing. Now, that season doesn't officially open up till mid-July?
Yeah, the 15th.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's the 15th.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I am fascinated by this. So is it all night fishing, or can you catch sturgeon during the daytime too?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, typically it's the boat traffic that'll disrupt your, attempt to fish during the day. But they're typically nocturnal feeders. So the evening into the night is typically the time we target them. But we've caught them all times of day. So they're not opposed to eating in the middle of the day either.
You talk about boat traffic where you are there in southeast Michigan. That's got to certainly be much more of a factor than it would be, say, in the UP somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the nautical mile on Lake St. Clair has more registered boats than anywhere else in the entire world. And if you can fathom that, it's just because of the concentration of people and vessels in one spot, where everywhere else in the country, it's just spread out more. And we have a lot of boat traffic. So it's tough at some points, and there's every shape and size of boat, whether it's a 16-foot aluminum boat to a 50-foot, yacht going by at the same time. So there's definitely a little bit of knowledge and, understanding of the waterway before you can just be comfortable doing what we're doing.
So do you just try to avoid certain areas at certain times?
Yeah, typically. I mean, that's the idea. You're just not going to position yourself and throw anchor in a spot where you're going to have a lot of recreational traffic coming by, because it doesn't make for a great time or great fishing.
Yeah. So what's your favorite fish? I mean, you're known as a multi-species guy, but you got to have one that you like.
Yeah, I'm a walleye and perch guy. I really can't call it between either one of them, but walleye are probably my passion. I've spent way more time and effort and money chasing those fish than I have any other species.
And what about perch? I mean, where are you still finding good fish these days, jumbos these days?
Yeah, well, we had really good spawning classes in 2015 and 2016. So our perch are really mature, and that's a lot of those like 3 to 4 pound walleyes. And the amount of spawning that happened and how prolific it was, it increased the population to the point where Lake St. Clair, like, the fish are trying to spread out a little bit. So Lake St. Clair's been very, very consistent, as opposed to, years prior where you'd get them one day and then not the next. Like, you can kind of pattern them, and it gets pretty consistent. So, and the size of the fish has been awesome. I've never in my life, since I was, fishing the lake in the early 80s or late 80s, have had so many big ones. And it's just because of the age of the fish and the amount of fish that survive to get to be this age.
And how are you fishing those? Traditional perch rigs with minnows off the bottom, or is there a secret?
Well, I mean, there's things we do that most people don't do, and I would tell you. I don't tell a lot of people, but we fish a lot of blade baits and we fish a lot of drop shot rigs, and we do a lot of casting where we'll run a perch rig on the boat. You know, somebody will have a perch rig down because you can run 3 rods in Michigan. So we'll, you know, have some sort of boat rods, and then we'll float bobbers with minnows. But the casting and drawing those fish in, and especially with the live sonar, being able to see them, has allowed us to, you know, have 15 perch following your rig or whatever, your blade bait or anything, coming back to the boat. And then they might not want to eat that, but they'll commit to eating something else.
Wow.
And we'll kind of create that ecosystem underneath our boat. So you'll have fish that'll just, you know, they'll end up hanging out. And when those migrating schools of, you know, hungry fish that are actually actively feeding, you know, they'll see those other fish. And it's just the easiest way genetically to draw them in more, you know, so to speak. So that's been a big key, is just really just covering a lot of water and getting those schools to come back to us. As opposed to trying to just land on them, because they're, you know, the migratory fish that we're fishing for are constantly moving. You know, perch have the worst ADD. They come in, they do their thing, and then they're gone. Like, if you don't have nothing down there to keep them occupied, they're out of here. So if you can keep bringing more and more of them back to the boat, then you create like an ecosystem underneath your boat, and it works out really, really well.
I've never heard of anybody doing that. That is very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And it's a lot of fun to just catch them rod in hand, casting the single blade bait. You know, typically we're using 1/4 ounce blade baits, but the 1/2 ounce ones we use for walleye fishing that I make, I mean, they eat those too. So,
man, is there anything that swims in Lake Erie that isn't a world-class fishery? I mean, everything there, everything you've got there is just a pretty special place.
Oh, it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Like I said, no matter where you go, like you can't get better than this. So, like, traveling out of state to tournament fish or just recreationally or whatever, you know, I have to set my expectations a lot lower and just be grateful to see some new scenery more than anything, because I know that the fishing is not going to be what I've got right in my backyard.
So where do your clients come from? Are they Michigan people, or do they come from out of state?
Well, the way I market, I typically market to people that are coming from out of state. So people that are either traveling for, you know, vacation or business or otherwise want to experience something that they haven't, you know, experienced before. That's the majority of my clientele, are people that are coming from out of state.
Well, I think it's interesting that even a lot of people who live in Southeast Michigan don't realize what they have. I mean, my new son-in-law, I was talking with him about the Detroit River walleye fishery, and he didn't understand what was there until I explained it to him. And now he's, you know, keeping an eye out on that. He says, man, you're right. He said, that thing is just, it's an attraction. And every time I go by there's boats out there and they're catching fish and they're smiling and there's nets waving. It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's exceptional. It's an exceptional fishery, and having the population of walleye that we have now, and with the telemetry studies we have and the way the resource has been managed and just understood more than anything, because Mother Nature decides. You know, it's not the same in enclosed, landlocked bodies of water. In the Great Lakes, we have a whole different ballgame, and Mother Nature decides whether it's going to be a good spawning class or not. And, you know, by the grace of God, we've had a substantial amount of very high success rates in the last, you know, 10 to 12 years. So now we're seeing, you know, we're reaping the benefits of it. Like, I mean, we talked 10 years ago and I said it was like the heyday to be a walleye fisherman, and now it's even more bizarre at how prevalent they are and how many you can catch. It's awesome.
So if somebody gets in touch with you and they say, Brad Smyth, I want to spend a day on the water, how do you guys decide where you're going to go and what you're going to fish for? Because as you say, you have so many different options.
Yeah, I mean, I basically try to tailor it to every individual client's, you know, expectations or wants. Like I have people that just want to catch fish. And I will call them the day before when I know it's going to be good, and it's been good, and I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be good tomorrow, and we'll go. And then I have other people that just, they want to go have a good time, and whether we catch them or not, it really doesn't matter. So based the age and the skill level, because like you said, you can't control Mother Nature. I can't control the skill level of the people that get on my boat, and I can't control whether the fish are going to bite or not. So if we get 2 of those 3 things to line up, we're going to have a pretty good day on the water regardless. But it's a matter of making, exactly what the clients need. So it's a lot of fun just doing whatever we want to do and need to do. I don't care if we drive from here to Traverse City to go do something different. I like going on adventures. It's not all about doing the same thing and just putting money in my pocket every day and just grinding. I'm to the point where I just pick and choose.
Nice.
So.
And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Brad, if they go to the website ifishdetroit.com, can they book a charter? Can they see what you have to offer right there online?
Yeah, and they can feel free to email me, text me. My personal cell phone's on the website, so even if I'm not available personally, with my kids and my family and everything I've got going on, I got aging parents and middle-aged children and adult children and jobs outside of fishing, and if I can't facilitate it, I will make sure I facilitate it with the best person I know to do exactly what they're looking to do. And that's been, a blessing to have so many friends and meet so many people over the years that can, do that for me when I can't.
Excellent, Brad. I will look forward to talking again. I will wish you good fishing. Again, the website is ifishdetroit.com. That's ifishdetroit.com. And let's stay in touch, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely need to get out and go fishing.
I know.
I want to get out of an angler class.
I want you to as well. All right, so we'll make that happen.
I'll bring my portable live scope, and
we'll
go out there one day.
I want to see that in action so bad. All right, thanks, Brad. Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures, ifishdetroit.com. That's ifishdetroit.com. We'll take a break here in the top of the hour. When we come back, a couple of more things to talk about, and then we'll wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Although Dixie Dave just called me right now, which makes me wonder, does he know that I'm actually recording a show right now? I think he does. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Muskegon on WKBZ. That's 1090 AM. And you can hear us in Saginaw, the other side of the state, on WSGW, 2 stations here, WSGW AM 790 and FM 100.5. I am in the studios of WSGW right now. I'm here with Charlie Rood. Charlie, a great job as always. And they're lined up. Yep, show's almost over. They're starting to line up because they know that Charlie will be leaving the building soon. There are families there with signs. They're starting to chant, Charlie, Charlie. There are ladies out there with babies. They want to present their baby to you, Charlie. They want you to bless their babies. So, Charlie, I appreciate that. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Reeder Landscaping. Let Reeder create an outdoor getaway in your backyard because it's your nature and our nurture. I was just looking at the progress. I told you we had a Reeder come out and do a they finished is it ever finished? They finished round 2 of the landscaping in our backyard. It was to put some ornamental stone in and get rid of some plants and relocate some things. All of these are things that I can do. I have the knowledge and the ability to do these things. But why? I mean, the first day they started the project, I wasn't even there because I was out fishing. So I come home and the project's half done. How cool is that? But I was looking at the progress this morning before I came into the studio, and because we've had some rain and it's been warm and boy, the grass is coming in, it's filling in nicely. It really looks nice. I don't care if it's a project, a small project like mine, a big project like putting in a backyard pool or a backyard barbecue or a backyard kitchen, or whether it's maintenance, weekly maintenance like mowing, or if it's occasional maintenance like coming in to trim shrubs or trim trees. Reeder can take care of it. When it comes to landscaping and lawn maintenance and property maintenance, they are your one-stop shop. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. Brad Smyth of Detroit Outdoor Adventures just texted me during the break, and he said, "Thank you so much, Mike, for the opportunity. I enjoy our conversations, and I really appreciate the opportunity to promote the fishery in Southeast Michigan." And I get that. I understand promotion of resources. You know, my home body of water is Saginaw Bay. I talk about Saginaw Bay a lot because that's where I spend my time. But I like to be able to promote all of our resources here in Michigan, from the far western UP to Southeast Michigan, because we have so much to offer. And it's such a diverse state. I mean, you go to a lot of other states and it kind of looks the same everywhere. Not in Michigan. You know, the western UP and Southeast Michigan are like two different worlds. Geographically, they're so far apart. I think I could probably get to, I think I did this one time. I didn't make the actual drive, but I just kind of planned it out. I could get to New York City from some parts of southern Michigan. I could get to New York City faster than I could get to the far western UP. So that just shows what a big, broad, beautiful state that we have. And so many different outdoor recreational opportunities, not just for fishing, but for hunting. Earlier in the show, we were talking about elk and bear drawings. That was Monday of last week. 260 people found out here in Michigan that they got an elk tag. Most of them cow tags. I don't remember how many bear permits are let out this year. Is it something like 7,000? Don't quote me on that one. Far more bear tags. So it is basically getting a Michigan elk tag is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. If you get a bull tag, that literally is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, unless you get your tag through the Pure Michigan Hunt. Then that supersedes everything. You win the Pure Michigan Hunt, all bets are off. It's bigger than anything. Like Mike Scherzer in our first hour was telling me, he won the Pure Michigan Hunt just a few years ago after being reminded by listening to this show. He said, "Oh, yeah, at the last minute, I'm going to go out and apply for the Pure Michigan Hunt." He did. And he won it. And he got a bull elk tag. Now, many years later, he gets another Michigan elk tag. What are the odds of that? I mean, I've been applying for a Michigan elk tag for more than 20 years. I've never gotten one. I know I never will. I know people have been applying for 35 years. They've never gotten one, never will. Yet, when I used to host the elk hunt orientation meetings before the season started, every year, I would have people raise their hands. Okay, how many here have applied for more than 30 years? Boom, hands go up all over the place. Work my way down to 5 years. How many 5 years? Yep, a few of them. I'd get to 1 year. Yep. And then invariably I say, is there anybody here who this was your first year applying for a Michigan elk tag and you got it? Yes, somebody's hand would shoot up. Then the $64,000 question, you don't happen to have a bull tag, do you? Yes, their hand would go back up. There seems to be no rhyme or reason. There is. I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm not saying it's fixed. I'm not saying anything like that. It's just the luck of the draw. And apparently Mike Scherzer's a pretty lucky guy. He should go out and play Powerball. I will never get a Michigan elk tag. I through the traditional means. But I have this feeling in the back of my head that I will eventually get one through the Pure Michigan Hunt. I think I'm going to win that sometime while I'm still able to do it. Good news is, though, I did get a Michigan bear tag. I got third season for Newberry. Season starts September 25th, and I will be hunting with my good friend, the Bear Whisperer, Johnny Bowler. There's a lot of pressure on Johnny this year. This will be the third time I've hunted with him. Haven't taken a bear yet, Johnny Bowler, Bear Whisperer. Listen, I'm not putting pressure on you, Johnny. I'm just putting it out there in the universe publicly that there's a lot riding on this year's hunt. No pressure, but you better come through. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar right here on Outdoor Magazine. Well, if you've listened to the show at all, if you've been with us ever before, and I hope you have. By the way, if you're a new listener, I appreciate that very much as well. But if you have listened to the show, you know that we wrap up each week's show with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Now, Dixie Dave is a guy I've known forever. Honestly, it feels like forever. It almost feels like we grew up together. We didn't, but it kind of feels like it. Dixie Dave got his name from when he had the old Dixie Inn on Dixie Highway in Birch Run. So Dave Minar on Dixie Highway, old Dixie Inn, became Dixie Dave. And I have called him that for absolutely forever. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. David, you don't mind if I call you Dixie Dave. I mean, you don't mind that nickname, do you?
No, I'm glad you did it. It really stuck with me.
Up. Up. Whoop. Oh, there, I got you back. We got you back. You dropped off there for a minute. I heard you say you don't mind it's stuck, and I think you were saying it stuck with you.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Mike, it stuck with us. You remember when we talked, you said, you got to have a nickname, for the show. So you come up with Dixie Dave on the Dixie Highway, so that was pretty cool. Thank you so very much.
Well, and it was your entire career has been spent as a chef, and a lot of it you have concentrated on fish and wild game. Why is that, Dave?
Oh, people love it. A lot of places never served wild game much. It's a little more okay now, but before, when we first started out, I had to look long and hard in order to try to find purveyors that I could get the product from. But people love it. People love fish. Especially Great Lakes fish around here.
Well, how about a fish recipe for this week then?
Okay, well, on page 50 in the cookbook, we got a grilled citrus walleye in a basket. And the reason we use this sort of a basket is you can put the different slices, nice thin slices of grapefruit and oranges and lemon or lime, whichever you prefer. So, and it keeps the fish moist. So if you want to use a whole fish, best thing to do is you can buy the baskets, the grilling baskets that are hinged, and they look kind of like a fish. But if you're going to use fillets, you can use the square ones, or they even make round ones. I've seen too in some places. But this is a good hot day dish because there's no kitchen work involved in it. And however big your basket is, you can put that much fish in it. So we've got a 4-pound walleye that we set here, but that's a little overkill. We used to have a great big basket at work, so I could use that.
Yeah.
But maybe the fillets would be even better, for this. And if you're going to use the square basket, the fillets would be just fine. So you need a wire grilling basket, a couple cups of smoking chips, whichever you prefer. And if you like dill, use some nice sprigs of dill in this. Pink grapefruit, a couple of oranges, maybe a lime or a lemon, whichever and a stick of butter and a little bit of salt and pepper and a barbecue. So we used to always leave the skin on this because it held together a little bit better. And we used to have customers that come in, Hewitts, they loved it. They'd call up maybe once or twice a month and ask if we could do because we used to have a little small barbecue we could put in the kitchen there, or along by the back. And it worked out just great. They loved it. So you want to skin the walleye, remove the gills and innards. If you're going to use the fish-shaped baskets, place a few pats of butter inside the fish. And if you're going to use dill, put a lot of black pepper for Michael.
Yes.
Line the half of the wire rack with the grapefruit, oranges, and lemon or lime slice. Put a pat or two of butter in it. Lay the fish on that, and then add more of the slices of the citrus around the top. Secure the basket, and then place the fish on the barbecue. You want a barbecue that's not very hot because you want to go nice and slow, and this is going to help steam through because of the citrus. And you're going to sprinkle some of the smoking around the edge, so you just want the smoky flavor. You don't want it to catch on fire and ruin the fish. So you can turn it about every 10 minutes or so, depending on how much fish you're going to have and everything else, it could go as long as maybe 40 to 50 minutes, but I think 20 to 25 minutes would be more realistic. And when the fish is nice and flaky and kind of opaque looking, it would be done. And you can eat the citrus too. That would make a real nice addition to it. So cook it long and slow. Don't hurry it along, and don't overcook it because it's going to steam through. And for a sauce, you want a cup of white wine, a tablespoon of chopped parsley, the juice of a lemon or a lime, and 1/2 to 3/4 of a stick of butter. And you want to cook that down fast and furious until it's all nice, thick, and creamy. You can put that sauce on the plate and divide the fish up on the top of the sauce. And like I said, we have people that just raved about this.
Well, it sounds wonderful, absolutely wonderful. David, always appreciate your time. Got to let you go. We'll talk next week.
All right, everybody, enjoy.
Wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you. I appreciate you joining us. Please check out the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. If you want to reach me, send me an email address, an email to my address at mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Don't forget to check out the live feeds. Don't forget to check out and sign up for the golf outing, MUCC.org/golf. My name is Mike Avery, and I'll talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.